Welcome to the Marketing and Sales Toolkit series with your host Rishis Rani. Today, we will be speaking with Fahim Musa on the topic of brand communication. Fahim is an ex management consultant and now is an advisor to help consultants get 2 to 4 clients within 90 days. It is an absolute pleasure to have Fahim on board, and I'm excited to get started.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, when articulating your brand message, marketers always stress upon the idea of finding your niche, finding your small sliver of the market, and chasing after that. What exactly does that mean, and why is that so important?
So, finding your niche is something that you do before you articulate a message. Why it's so important is because when you start off a business or you build a product or look for opportunities, it's important that you define who the audience is, because typically you'll be a small team, you will have limited resources. So finding a niche is a combination of your expertise and similar organizations or similar types of customers that you can serve, and then really narrowing down that group so that you can serve them best. So when you're a small team, you need to play smart and not go and attack a lot of different markets at once, because you're never going to be able to find your voice. You're never going to be able to position yourself and serve many needs. So it's just important to pick your battles, find a sliver of a market, and serve that market to the best of your ability. And what also will happen is that when you deliver solutions to that small market, you'll be able to stand out, because you'll find that for smaller markets, competition will be less. It'll be easier for you to sort of get your foot in the door, get customers, get clients, and then serve them at a high level, build up your resources, build up your cash flow, and then sort of build your team from there. Then once your team and resources, other cash resources are built up, then you can expand to other markets, other niches, and so on and so forth.
All right, thank you so much for that. So, I completely understand the value of narrowing and defining your audience, especially when you start small. When you start off, you have limited resources, limited capital, limited employees working for you, and it is important to find your voice and your space in the market. And as you grow your capital, grow your employees, you should continue to expand your reach, expand your niche. What are some points that we should keep in mind while articulating our brand message, and what are the platforms that we should look for to communicating that or serving as a platform to reach our targeted audience?
Yeah, so the first part of your question was, what are the key points you should keep in mind when communicating your brand message? So once you identify your customers in a specific niche, you need to understand what they want, what their pains and frustrations are. Without a pain, without understanding their pains and frustrations, there's no understanding where they want to go. There's no point of brand message. So really drilling down on understanding what their life is like on a daily basis, and how their current pains show up in their lives, and then using that information to craft a brand message, knowing what outcome they want. So that's the key: understanding the outcome, and talking about the outcome is one of the most imperative pieces of brand messaging. And even before that, it's communicating that you understand their pain. See, human beings want to feel understood. So when you're communicating your brand's message, you first have to communicate that you understand what they're going through. And when the other person knows that you get it, their ears will perk up, and they'll know that you get their world. And then you talk about the outcome that your solution can deliver for them based on what they want. So you do these two things, find that your message will resonate with the market. And there are other things like keeping the message very brief and short. Nobody has time these days to sort of decode and read long messages. Keep it really short. And there's one more advanced thing that you can do, is to mirror your audience's language. Every niche, every market has its own lingo, jargon, terminology. Understanding all of those words and using those words in your messaging is really powerful. And the second part of the question, I believe, was how you use platforms to communicate that message. So that depends on where your audience is. Like for me, my audience is on LinkedIn, so I I post a lot of links. But if your audience is on other platforms, then go wherever they are.
I loved your point on appearing relatable and showing that you really understand the needs and the concerns of your target market. And I think it was great how you talked about focusing on the outcomes instead of the various services that you provide. So, when you're starting out or you're trying to land a new client, what are ways that you can demonstrate the ROI, the return that your service or your product could offer your client in a focused brand message?
Yeah, so if you're brand new in the marketplace, then it's going to be really hard to show tangible results. You can talk about your outcomes. If you've got that outcome for yourself, for example, then you can talk about your own outcomes and what happened. But if you've already got results for other customers, other clients, then you can use case studies and testimonials and demonstrate that you've got a certain ROI for customers that are similar to the ones that you're targeting. And that'll kind of do the job in terms of demonstrating ROI. That's one way to do it.
All right, that makes sense. So, showing testimonials or showing your own progress through the ideas or concepts that you provide. So, you have mentioned previously that clients don't buy services. So, if clients are not looking for services or products, what are they looking to buy instead?
Yeah, so in the context of your service businesses, of course, and consulting in particular, clients don't buy services, clients buy outcomes, right? They want something done, they want a result. You might have heard of this whole old saying that people don't want a drill, they want a hole. And then now, they don't even want a hole, they want a nice looking shelf on the wall. And they want, this is straight from Seth Godin's new book. This is marketing. They just don't want a hole, but they want a nice shelf on the wall. They want to feel nice when they walk into their room, and they want to feel like safe and secure. So a lot of the times, especially service business owners, they will offer their services. They will list down the various services that they have, but then nobody cares. People want the result. So it's really important to elaborate on the outcome, because that's what people want.
I love that quote from This Is Marketing, that don't focus on showing your features or your capabilities or the number of employees you have. Focus and highlight the simple outcomes. How are you going to make your customer's life easier, simpler, and more efficient? So now moving from the message to actually the lead process. When you get a client or you get a potential client, should you consider giving a free consultation of your service to demonstrate your abilities, or should you charge them from ground up?
It really depends. I'm not an advocate of free, but let's say you're starting out in consulting in a new market that you know nothing about. You'll need to build up your capital, and one way to do it is to volunteer and say, I'll do a short project for free, and that'll help me break in exchange for a testimonial. That can work. Sometimes when you find it hard to break into a very competitive industry, you may want to do that. But for me and the clients that I advise, I don't advocate free, because a lot of my clients are experienced executives and have consulting firms.
Thank you so much for that answer, Fahim. I guess it is extremely important for you to realize yourself what you're looking for, whether you're looking to build your own reputation, to find your own voice, or to expand your business. And I really do see the value in providing a free consultation in the beginning, just to increase the number of testimonials you have or to demonstrate your value and convert that into a paid consultation or paid service in the future. So one thing people are talking a lot about, and a lot of people, a lot of salesmen are moving towards, is video, is communicating your message through a videograph, the way we are today. And people tend to believe that when you're recording your video, it needs to be perfect. It needs to be studio quality. It needs to be pitch perfect. You need to be dressed formally. What is your take on this? And how can people break out of this mental block and put themselves out there?
Well, if you're doing video like we're doing now, and like I do video a lot, you don't have to be formally dressed. You don't even have to wear pants. I'm just kidding, man. I am wearing pants. But, I do a lot of video on LinkedIn. And if you look at the videos, they're very raw, and they're mostly one or two takes. I don't do more than that. And I just speak in a stream of consciousness fashion, with a lot of ums and ers and likes. Sometimes it even bothers me to look at those, to watch those videos and say, well, what am I doing? Why am I speaking so unpolished? But at the end of the day, like I believe that people want to know the real you. People want to know the authentic you. That's why I don't even bother with editing. I just do a one take, and it works for me. My videos get a lot of traction. I get a lot of prospective clients reaching out to me after I do videos, and it's always about function over form. It depends on what you're saying, and again, it goes back to understanding your market, and really drilling down on their pains, their frustrations, their needs, their desires, and the outcomes that they want. So when you talk about all those things and that resonates, then form doesn't matter as much. Of course, it has to be presentable. The sound has to be good in video. I always feel that in videos, the sound is far more important than the visual. Of course, the visual has to be presentable, like I said, but it doesn't have to be studio quality, 4K and slick. As long as it's like 70, 75% okay, it works.
Function over form. That was amazing. I completely agree with that. I think people are looking for quality content out there. And if it's done in a less than perfect way, people do assume that, or people do take that to be authentic. And so our goal should really be on understanding the audience and spending time understanding their concerns and showing them the outcomes instead of trying to get the video a little better quality or for us to be dressed a little more formally. So, on a closing note, what is the one tip that you can give our audience on ways to differentiate yourself and differentiate your brand through communication, through your brand messaging?
I look at it this way. When I said when someone says differentiation, especially in the early days, when you're building a consulting business or even any small business, I feel that the way to differentiate is to really deep dive into understanding the pains and desires of the market and communicating that you understand and get the market and get your customers. Because most businesses are mediocre. People don't really deep dive and truly try and understand their market. So when you do that, you will automatically differentiate yourselves. So forget about the competition. Don't obsess over the competition. You can be aware of who they are, but obsess about your customers, obsess about the pains, their fears, their desires, their dreams, their goals, and how all of that shows up in their lives, right? And once you understand that, and you can really finger point and tell them and show them that I know what you're going through and I have a solution for you, then they're gonna listen to you. So that's how you differentiate.
I absolutely love that. Thank you so much for this. Uh, I've had a great conversation and I think I've learned a lot. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks so much for the opportunity. I appreciate being on the show, Trish.